Now, I understand we have a game that's coming out shortly in Batman Arkham Shadow, which is essentially what I'm talking about in today's video. However, I've wanted to do this video since before that game was even a concept, which I didn't even find out about this game until like a couple months ago. But what I wanted to talk about today was if I was to write Batman Arkham Origins 2, how would I have followed up on those events? Because there's so many different directions at which you could have gone. You could have gone in any specific timeline as well, sometime between after Batman Arkham Origins and right before Batman Arkham Asylum. There's quite a bit of time in there that which we can easily fill with multiple games in that time. But in today's video, I want to talk about if I wrote Batman Arkham Origins 2. I was originally going to do the video on which game Joker was the best in, but I just don't have all the footage necessary for that video yet. So we're going to do this one first. That video is going to come after. But I want to, start this with a disclaimer. I'm not a game writer. I'm not a game developer. I'm not a game designer. I'm not claiming to be any of these things. These are just my thoughts and what I would do. So, without further ado, let's get right into this. Now, first things first, I'm going to jump straight into the main story. So, I've talked about this for a while, and if you guys, are subscribed to this channel, you'll know who I think the main villain should be in Batman Arkham Origins 2, because I think it's a very good story to write, and that would be Harvey Dent. Now, we have seen, this in various different medias. Harvey Dent starts off as a DA and makes his way into Two-Face, but I don't really want to just do some generic thing where he just turns into Two-Face. I want to make it a little bit more interesting, and in this game is going to contain something that the previous Batman Arkham games have kind of lacked in a lot of aspects, and that's also going to be Bruce Wayne's life. And we've seen it in Batman the Telltale series, but in this case, I kind of want it to be a bit more of a slower build-up than, the typical Batman Arkham games. But I also want this to be something where we take our time and really make us get invested into Harvey Dent. Because even though we know in the end he ends up becoming Two-Face, he ends up becoming a villain, we want to see the soft side of him, the really good human side of Harvey Dent. Something that maybe even the general public doesn't see out of their local DA. And there's a couple different ways you can do that. But my personal way would be, in some form, Bruce Wayne notices that there's a new up-and-coming DA by the name of Harvey Dent. And Bruce Wayne, obviously being Batman, is all too familiar with the justice system, especially in Gotham, and he understands how corrupt to the core it truly is. And he's known this ever since he's become Batman, and that's part of the reason why he became Batman in the first place. So, Batman sees something different in Harvey Dent. He doesn't just see some other corrupt DA. He sees some guy who genuinely has potential to do great things in Gotham, is able to lock up criminals and keep them locked away for good. So Bruce reaches out to Harvey, asks if he wants to come over for a drink, or maybe go get some dinner, but Harvey's a little bit hesitant for a couple different reasons. First of all, Bruce Wayne is that rich, white playboy millionaire, and thinks that he potentially could be up to no good. And with that being said, Harvey thinks he might be up to no good because he thinks that Bruce is trying to, buy him out, try to make him just as corrupt as every other cop and DA, not really trusting these rich elites that live in Gotham. Bruce, of course, is very understanding because he understands how much corruption there is within Gotham City. So Bruce reassures Harvey, there's nothing to worry about whatsoever. I'm definitely not corrupt whatsoever, and offers to maybe meet in a public setting if it'll make Harvey feel more comfortable. Harvey thinks about it for a minute and says, you know what, I'll do it. They go out to a bar, they have a couple drinks, they just talk business, Bruce asking questions about Harvey's life and everything, and Bruce gets to know him a bit more on a personal level, gets to understand, the soft, deep down things about Harvey a little bit, gets to talking a little bit once the drinks get flowing. And all in all, what we would call a very successful night, a very good first meeting. Harvey's a little bit more trustful of Bruce, but doesn't know 100% sure what to make of him, and tries to mind his P's and Q's, knowing he could just be playing him for potential corruption purposes. Bruce walks away thinking he could have just made a new ally in the district attorney, and they go on with their day. The next time we see Bruce is the next day, except this time he has the cowl on. He gets a call for a breaking and entering on the other side of Gotham. However, once he gets there, he does encounter a few thugs. We can have our first, Predator section, our first, melee section of the game here. However, we do eventually come to find that Carmine Falcone is involved. And when Falcone gets involved, nothing is good. However, he finds out that Falcone's goons are there because they're trying to go after Harvey Dent. Why, you might ask? because he is ruining order of what's going on in Gotham. You see, Carmine Falcone runs Gotham from underneath the sewers, kind of like, the Court of Owls, not underneath the sewers literally, but I just mean underneath the lips of Gotham. And so, Carmine Falcone wants to get rid of this right away. He wants to have the city back under his order and under his control, because he can't have a guy in Harvey Dent who refuses to be bought out running around as a district attorney of Gotham, because that would ruin business, make him look bad as a mob boss, and overall would completely undermine everything that he's worked so hard for. However, once Batman does get inside, he comes to discover that Harvey Dent is not around. He is unsure whether or not he was kidnapped or he ran away on his own accord, but Batman does seem to think he ran away on his own accord due to the lack of struggle that we see in the room. And Batman's suspicions are proven to be correct once he finds a note inside one of the drawers of Harvey Dent's desks that basically states he knew that someone was going to be coming after him for the lack of money that he was willing to take and the fact he was not willing to be corrupt just like everybody else in Gotham and has gone somewhere else to safety. Now, despite the fact that we were already given an explanation by Falcone's thugs, there is something here that's a bit of a head-scratcher. Why did Dent feel the actual need to run away in the first place? How did he know that someone was coming after him? It seems like Falcone potentially had a secret or something he knew about Harvey Dent that made Harvey know he was going to have to run away. But either way, something is not sitting right here. But because Bruce Wayne has previously already built some type of relationship with Harvey Dent, he decides to try to go down that route to try to reach out to Harvey to see if everything's okay. And so Bruce tries to reach out to Harvey, at first not getting an answer, but eventually Harvey does come around, does eventually answer the phone, does have a very brief conversation with Bruce. However, he does seem very skeptical, he sounds very nervous on the phone, and he informs Bruce he cannot reveal his location, he cannot tell anybody because he cannot trust anybody, reasonably so considering the fact that the mob is after him. But there is one piece of very crucial information that Harvey does tell Bruce, which basically goes along the lines of, you better watch your back because Falcone knows I was with you already in a public setting, so you better watch your own back too. Now, as soon as his phone call ends, Bruce does hear a noise outside, which he goes and checks out the window to find out that Falcone's thugs are already coming after him. Seeing as Harvey Dent got away, they might think, go after Harvey Dent's friend and Bruce Wayne, and they might be able to get some answers as to where Harvey went. So, Bruce runs into his Batcave, puts on his bat suit, comes outside to deal with the Falcone thugs. Once Batman takes care of all Falcone's thugs, Falcone actually shows up himself, and this is where we're going to get our first boss fight of the game. Now, I'm not a level or game designer, but if you wanted me to come up with a base outline for how this boss fight would go, I would think that maybe Falcone has some type of military-grade weapon that fires incendiary rounds, something a little bit different that we haven't seen in the Batman Arkham series before. Now, after we deal with Carmine Falcone, we do interrogate him to find out why he was trying to break into Bruce Wayne's house, and he states the obvious answer of his association with Harvey Dent. However, there is also something to be said that Carmine reveals about Harvey, and there's something dark about him. There's something about him that most people aren't like, but he doesn't exactly go into specific details. He just kind of hints there's something dark about Harvey that we need to deal with. After the encounter with Carmine Falcone, Bruce Wayne does call Harvey Dent to let him know that Carmine and his thugs did show up at his house, and after a very brief conversation once again, Bruce tries to ask Harvey Dent about the dark side that Carmine had kind of implied, but he brushes it off and quickly hangs up the phone. Now, because it's been a whole day since Harvey Dent's been seen by the general public, his family members are concerned and call the authorities. However, Bruce Wayne enters the GCPD to inform Jim Gordon because, obviously, Bruce Wayne being Batman, he doesn't trust any other cop on the force, tells Jim Gordon that he's had conversations with Harvey Dent, and he knows that Harvey Dent is alive, but doesn't know where he is at this time. And Gordon alerts some of his men, and they've put an official manhunt out to find Harvey Dent to make sure he is brought back safely. Batman having no other options, having nowhere else to go, having no leads, having essentially a dead end, he decides to talk to Carmine Falcone, who is currently in prison. However, Carmine refuses to talk. He's not really one to open up. He doesn't really want to say anything. However, after a little bit of pushing, after Batman hits him a couple times, really interrogates him, puts a bit of a beating on him, Carmine agrees to talk under the condition that he gets a lighter sentence. Falcone starts off by explaining that Dent had basically had a bunch of his men prosecuted, arrested, and put into jail for a very long time for various different crimes, and Falcone did not want to see any more of his men taken off the street. So that's why he attempted to break into Harvey Dent's house earlier in the game. But once again implies that Harvey Dent has a darker side to him, but he's a little bit reluctant as to explain why. There's a bit of a fearful look in his eyes. Even though Carmine Falcone is not a fearful man, he's not generally one to experience the type of fear that most local thugs would. He's a little bit different, but in this case, there's something off with him, and he finally spills the beans as to what he means by there being a darker side to Harvey Dent. Carmine Falcone basically goes on to explain that a few weeks prior in an altercation with Harvey Dent, he had basically bribed Harvey in order to not prosecute one of Falcone's top guys, top thugs within his organization, and Harvey Dent had refused. Now, this isn't the first time that Falcone's been rejected of a bribe, but usually people who reject the bribes either eventually come around once the money gets bigger, or they mysteriously disappear in some fashion. He may not word it like that, but kind of alludes to that. But in this case, Harvey Dent was different. Not only did he not accept the bribe, but he threatened to viciously hurt Falcone if he was to ever do it again, and pulled out his trusty little coin. And this is the first time we see that coin that Two-Face, aka Harvey Dent, is so well known for. Now, of course, Batman doesn't believe any of this because he knows who Harvey Dent is. He knows Harvey Dent is the greatest district attorney that Gotham has seen in a very long time. And he tells him that he doesn't think that this is true. He basically tells him that this is straight up bogus. However, Carmine is very adamant in what he's saying, almost to the point where you would have to believe him because of his actual body language that which he is presenting to Batman. Batman, not really being 100% certain on who to believe at this given time, sends Falcone back to his cell. However, does agree that if what he finds out he is saying is 100% true, then he will have Carmine Falcone's sentence reduced. So with no other options, with a bunch of dead ends basically, we have no idea where Harvey Dent is, Batman decides to go back to Harvey Dent's house to search for more clues that Batman may have originally missed on his initial sweep. And upon entering the house and doing a more thorough search this time, he does find a safe which is empty, which Batman believes contained some type of gun, maybe a pistol or something, due to the fact that there are a couple shell casings inside the safe, which tells us that Harvey Dent could potentially be dangerous if Falcone was telling us the truth, but also that he's armed, which Batman, in the moment, is a little bit more relieved, so that at least Harvey's able to protect himself against any potential Falcone thugs or anybody's thugs coming after him for that matter. And after leaving Harvey Dent's house, Batman does some asking around. He goes around asking GCPD officers, goes around asking other attorneys and lawyers, even going to interrogate some thugs to get some more information on where they think Harvey Dent could be. And it turns out that there's 3 hot spots that Harvey Dent likes to frequent. Now, this is where a choice is going to come into the matter. So basically, you can pick any one of these 3 locations. And if you get it right on the first time, you will come across Harvey Dent in a standoff with somebody pointing a gun at them. If you guess the location right on the second attempt, you will come into Harvey Dent in a fight with some of Falcone's thugs. And if you get it right on the third and final attempt, you will find Harvey Dent has been beaten, bloodied, and left unconscious on the floor. Of course, if you get it right on the third attempt, Falcone's thugs will still be there, getting ready to escort Harvey Dent out of the building. However, Batman is going to be able to stop that from happening, of course. And regardless of what you choose, there will be a fight with some of Falcone's thugs, but you will end up rescuing Harvey Dent. And regardless of the outcome, Batman escorts Harvey Dent to the hospital just to make sure everything's okay, even if he wasn't beaten and you got it on the third try. Now, while in the hospital, Bruce Wayne comes to visit him because he heard of what happened, quote-unquote, on the news, and he wanted to come check on him to make sure everything's alright. And while there, Harvey Dent describes some of the troubles that he had gone through over the past couple days, such various encounters, and maybe this could even be an opportunity to be playable as Harvey, so we could see, the events from his point of view. I think that'd be kind of interesting. Regardless, Bruce Wayne asks if Harvey Dent wants to come stay with Bruce for the time being as a safe spot until all this blows over. While Harvey Dent is reluctant at first, because he's still not 100% sure if he trusts Bruce, takes him up on the offer when he comes to realize that Bruce is there for him and is 100% an ally, because Harvey doesn't really get any, off feelings with Bruce. While Harvey is at the house, Bruce tells him to stay inside, rest, and relax for a little bit, and Alfred will be there to check up on him. And while that is going on, Bruce goes out to do his Batman duties, and while out, he has an encounter with the Penguin. Essentially, Batman hears about a rumor that Penguin is doing an arms deal in order to try to take out some of the big mob bosses in Gotham because he wants to be the top dog. Like, he wants to take out Falcone, he wants to take out the Maronis, he wants to take out every single mob boss in Gotham so that he can rule once and for all. Which Batman spots a Penguin thug and interrogates him about where this arms deal is allegedly going down. And it turns out it's going down in one of Penguin's warehouses. So Batman speeds off there to make sure that he can intercept this arms deal in time. Unfortunately, upon arriving to the warehouse, we find out that Penguin and his thugs are already gone. However, inspecting the scene, we do find one of Penguin's radios, which he uses to talk to his thugs, finding out that he's actually gone back to his old ship, which is a nice little call out to the first Arkham Origins game. And upon entering the old ship, we do find where Penguin and his thugs are discussing the potential plan on how to take out these mob bosses one by one. And while going over it, Batman intercepts taking out one of the thugs, which a fight ensues, and we have to take down the Penguin, which this would be considered the second boss fight of the game. Once we defeat Penguin in this boss fight, he tells us what we already know, that he wants to take out the main mob bosses in this town. However, he also kind of subtly implies he wants to take out Harvey Dent because he quote-unquote cannot be trusted. At this point, Batman's starting to get a little bit of an uneasy feeling about Harvey Dent. These people seem to know things about him that maybe we simply just do not know yet. We just met the guy. But these guys have known about Harvey Dent for a long time, and I'm sure that they know dark secrets about him that not others really would know. After we arrest the Penguin, Batman calls to Alfred over the phone to see if everything's okay with Harvey, which Alfred reveals that Harvey's been acting a bit strange. He kind of just talks to himself, murmurs things to himself. You can hear it in the room. He kind of sounds like he's almost screaming at sometimes, and other times he's almost like whispering to himself. It seems like very odd behavior, almost like someone with multiple personality disorder would do. Which Batman is a little bit dismissive of, kind of reminding Alfred over the past couple days, Harvey has had it a bit rough, and he could have a lot of stress on his plate, a lot going on in his mind, potential PTSD even going on here, so we gotta cut him a bit of slack, and maybe just give him some chance to rest, and maybe he'll improve from there. The next morning comes around, and Harvey Dent is not there. He has left Wayne Manor and gone God knows where at this point in time, and everyone becomes immediately concerned, and we need to find Harvey Dent as fast as possible, knowing that he could be potentially experiencing said PTSD, like I had just mentioned. So, therefore, there is a massive sense of urgency because we have no idea what he can do or where he would go if he is not in the right mental state. So, with that being said, the goal is to find Harvey Dent no matter the cost. So, Batman takes the idea to search the room that we had put Harvey Dent in to see if he had left potential clues behind. Seeing as last time we looked in Harvey Dent's house, we were able to find certain key clues, so that therefore maybe that would work again this time. However, this time he doesn't really leave behind a trail of evidence, and he doesn't really have any of his possessions there in the first place, so he doesn't really have anything to leave behind any potential evidence whatsoever. However, we do find a blood stain that which he had cut himself in some way during the course of the nighttime, which leads us to a trail that we have to follow in order to get to Harvey Dent. But not only is Harvey a potential danger to himself here, he's a potential danger to others, because we also have to remember that he does have a gun, he is armed, and if he's not in the right mental state, he could potentially cause some damage to others or himself or potential property that we really need to ramp up our sense of urgency to find him. Which, following the blood trail, leads us to a warehouse at which Carmine Falcone and his thugs are staying in, which isn't really that shocking considering the fact that, there had been previous issues with Falcone and Dent, so it would make sense that Harvey Dent is out to seek revenge. However, Carmine Falcone isn't here, so it doesn't seem like that Harvey Dent has made it that far yet to this point. However, Harvey Dent himself is also not there, which means he has obviously moved on, which means one of two things have happened here. Either A, Harvey Dent has shown up, found out that Falcone was not there, and left, or Falcone was there and Harvey Dent has taken pursuit after him. However, there is another piece of evidence here that is really unfortunate. In the process, there has been a life taken, and we don't know if it was Harvey Dent, we don't know if it was Carmine Falcone, maybe he accidentally shot one of his thugs, we don't know what's going on at the moment, but we do know that we have a potential murderer on the loose now in Harvey Dent, and considering he's not in the greatest mental state in the world, it is apparent that we need to get to him. And as Batman's heading out, he runs into some of Carmine Falcone's thugs, who he fights, beats, and interrogates a Carmine Falcone thug and asks him who committed this murder. And of course, he immediately throws Harvey Dent under the bus because he's not going to throw his own boss under the bus. And Batman knows he could potentially be lying. He knows that Carmine Falcone could have absolutely tried to frame Harvey Dent to get him arrested and sent away, or Harvey Dent could have absolutely done this to try to get to Falcone. Now, the thug also does reveal to us that Carmine Falcone has some type of underground bunker that which he will go to in the event that he is in some sort of danger and he needs to hide from it, in this case being Harvey Dent. As Batman gets to this bunker, he finds a secret door been opened. As he walks down the stairs, he finds 2 dead bodies on the floor, which now adds up to 3 total murders so far in the span of today, which, after investigating the crime scene, Batman does find 2 used shell casings on the ground, which after doing some analysis confirms it came from Harvey Dent's weapon, which unfortunately means that Harvey Dent is the murderer. The DA that we saw so much promise in is now officially gone, so Batman's main priority is to save Carmine Falcone from Harvey Dent. As we continue onward, we make our way down into the official layer of the bunker where Carmine Falcone will basically hunker down in the event he has to hide, like I mentioned earlier. And we find Harvey Dent has a gun held up to Carmine Falcone with a coin in his hand. Batman walks in the room and begs, pleads with Harvey Dent, please do not do this. I know this is not your fault. You are suffering mentally and we need to get you the help. And Harvey Dent is refusing to listen to reason because he wants revenge on this man for multiple different reasons. First of all, having attempted murder on his life already previously, as well as trying to make him a corrupt DA, as well as he wants to remove the mob boss in the city and wants the city to be pure. In his mind, he's kind of going down the vigilante route. Unfortunately, though, this is not the way that we need to be doing these types of things. Harvey Dent, who is in the right state of mind, would know that, but unfortunately, that is not who we are seeing right now. So, Harvey Dent, with a gun up to his head, flips a coin up in the air, and bang, Carmine Falcone is dead on the floor, unfortunately, before Batman is able to save him. However, in the process, Harvey Dent turns the gun around on Batman, threatening to kill him. And this is where choices become a major factor in this scenario, where this is the only time you can choose your potential dialogue choices to make Harvey Dent kill you or not. Now, ultimately, he's not going to kill you. Of course, you have to survive for the sake of the future Batman Arkham franchise. However, he does eventually try to actually take a shot at Batman. Regardless of what happens, he tries to take a shot at you, which hits a canister, which basically explodes and a fire starts in the room, which is how Harvey gets his 2 faces. However, Batman is able to put the fire out. He is able to get Harvey Dent to the hospital safely, to where eventually Harvey Dent is sent to Batman Arkham Asylum to get some mental treatment. And guys, this is how I would write Batman Arkham Origins 2. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of things that probably go against, the established canon of the franchise and all that, but I was just writing this based on how I would follow the events of Batman Arkham Origins specifically, going in terms of character bios and stuff. I don't know too much about all that stuff, but I just wanted to create something fun. Let me know any changes, adjustments, or things you might even add to make this game greater, or if you thought it was awful, make sure to let me know that down in the comments as well. I just want to give a big shout out to those of you who do support this channel. I do very much appreciate every single one of you, and if you want to become a member today, click the join button right underneath this video. That does entail shout outs at the end of each video, early access to new videos, as well as your own personal videos that nobody else gets access to besides you. So if you want to join, make sure to click the join button today. As well as if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe for more content, and as always, thank you so much for everything, guys. I do appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you all have an amazing day. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!